What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, taking a look at the expert run that I had in the Master League, which is not a league that I'm normally good at climbing with, but this team has been consistently performing and helping me climb when this rotation happens. And I gotta say, dude, this team is just... it is a very synergistic, strong team. You guys have seen it before. I hit Veteran with the same team, made a video on it. And Necrozma Duskmane in this meta with Iron Head, I think, is a very strong pick. Iron Head actually gives you better pacing, whereas you really never need, at least I feel like I've never needed Sunsteel Strike. Iron Head always will do enough for me. And in the back, because Necrozma cores very well with Dragon, we're going to be using Origin Form Palkia with that Spatial Rend. Unfortunately, Spatial Rend for Palkia is an absolute necessity, and they still haven't given us a chance to TM it. So, thanks, Niantic / Scopely. Thanks. Really wish y'all would let us get there anyway. Anyway, without more complaining, I'm also running a Dragon Tail Kyurem Black, and this thing on the safe switch has been incredibly strong. Its moves hit hard as a truck. So let's get into these games here and check out the expert run here in this Master League meta, starting off with a Melmetal lead in the first game. This is actually a deceptively good matchup for Necrozma. The opponent probably knows it and swaps out, and they safe switch into a Shadow Dragonite, which... I can't say that I would call Shadow Dragonite a good safe switch, to be honest. It feels like it gets walled by things too easily, but opponent likes the safe switch. I'm going to be able to go for the Iron Head. Opponent trying to overfarm just before I get to a second Outrage, but I'm going for the Iron Head instead, and they shield up, and I'm like, all right. Well, I've got both your shields, and that means that I should be able to do something against the opponent's Melmetal. They're going to go for a last-second move before getting farmed down here, and Kyurem just needs to shield up, and we have enough energy head start to be able to do some damage to this Melmetal. And even if we don't knock it out, right? Fusion Bolt's only neutral, and that's fine. You know, we still should get to it one, if not maybe two almost, depending on if they want to overfarm too much. But they are going to need to throw pretty quickly here because we're getting close to the second move, and they still need at least 2 double Iron Bashes here. But they're going to go for the Superpower and then swap in the Landorus. Very nice catch. It's resisted damage, but unfortunately for the opponent, Palkia just kind of comes in and hard counters this opponent's backline, and that's going to do it for this first game. The opponent's going to concede. Good game. Next game up, we're going to have Necrozma into an Origin Dialga. This is a grid lead. This is where I would like to see the Dialga. The opponent's going to safe switch into Palkia, which is an interesting play. Now, I'm going to go straight for the Outrage here. I'm never going to bait in this situation because I have occasionally seen Palkias that decide not to shield this. This trainer, however, is going to. And now, something I want to bring up and why I like Dragon Tail so much is that Kyurem's stats outbulk the Palkia when you're dealing with Dragon Tail versus Dragon Claw, or Dragon Tail versus Dragon Breath. The Kyurem is actually able to outstat the Palkia and farm it down in when shields are up, which is pretty disgusting if you ask me. Now, opponent's going to come back in with Dialga. I'm hoping to get to a move, but unfortunately going to go down with the Fusion Bolt. We're going to come back in with the Necrozma. We can take a move here. Roar of Time will not knock out quite from this range, and I'm fine with it. They go for the Roar of Time. Does about a little under half. The opponent now comes in with a Kyurem, and if we can swap quick enough into the Kyurem, we're going to be able to fully farm down before they can get to 2 moves, and that's going to be a good game. Keldeo in this next game. Very strong core breaker in the meta with the buffed Aqua Jet. Thankfully, though, Necrozma is a good way to beat it. Palkia actually does pretty okay as well. Obviously, with Poison Jab and Sacred Sword, you're getting outpaced to pretty much everything here, but the Sacred Swords don't add up enough to be meaningful damage. I don't know if Aqua Jet or the Sacred Sword is the better move to go for here, but I can easily get shields by going for these Outrages. The opponent now knows that I have Outrage, so they're going to either have to give up a shield, catch, or something. We're going to go straight for this Outrage here. Not going to try to overfarm too much and let them get energy. They decide to just let the Keldeo go, and my Kyurem's happy enough, and then I swap in thinking, surely there's not another Kyuremancer on this team, and we can bring in Kyurem, and the opponent swaps in Tapu Lele. Yes, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to a move where the opponent tries to catch the Fusion Bolt on Kyurem, which, honestly, nice catch. Now, I'm in a bit of a tricky situation here. The opponent doesn't have very much farm. I'm going to have to shield no matter what I bring in here because the opponent did get a slight Ice Fang energy head start. So I'm going to just bring in Palkia and hope that the energy from Palkia can flip this game in my favor. I thought about maybe going for a catch to save the shield, but honestly, I think that the opponent's Tapu Lele, their energy is not going to go into my Duskmane, so we should be able to live. And then it's just going to come down to, can we get to 3 Aqua Tails, or is the opponent going to throw their energy? They don't have a lot of energy either. So this Aqua Tail is going to get the shield. And then after we get that shield, I'm going to just pop right into my Duskmane and force them to throw the energy and see how much damage I can get with the Shadow Claws. And my goodness, the opponent knows they need 2 moves. They can't get to 2. The Size Shock's not going to do it. And then we're going to get the farm down. Good game to the opponent. Oh no! I forgot to get a Q time. Oh! Once in a while, they slip past me. Let me take this time to remind you to be hydrated. Take care of yourself. You're important too. Getting into the next battle. Awesome moments. We're going to have Necrozma on the lead versus Palkia, and I have not yet engineered the correct way to play this, honestly. I always like to go for an Outrage, but I don't know exactly how much to farm up to before I go for it. I like to farm up one past the Outrage, because at least that maybe makes them think, oh, I'm just going to go for a resisted Sunsteel Strike. And then it never really works out. Everybody but one has, at least in the day that I played this team, everybody but one Palkia has decided to shield that. So, like, I don't know. I don't know. But I'm always going to go for the Outrage anyway to guarantee the shield or the damage because I would rather get that guarantee than that one time they decide to call it. Now, opponent has given me a massive energy head start here, and that means that I can go straight for a Freeze Shock, and this is going to do a massive amount of damage, and that just completely knocks out the Lele, and the opponent is now bringing in their Therian Landorus here, which, even though this is resisted, that's still damage, and the opponent's not going to shield it. They really don't have enough left. I'm going to go ahead, and I'm thinking about shielding this because I would get the guaranteed KO, but it's not worth it. I'm going to go ahead and just let my Palkia be the one to finish this game off. We're going to farm down with the Necrozma. Opponent knows they're not going to be able to win the game at this point, and they concede. Well played. We got the next game. It's Necrozma on Necrozma Violence. Now, one of the things that I have come to hate about this mirror matchup is that most of my opponents end up running Dark Pulse because of course. Dark Pulse is not a move that I recommend in this current meta. It really doesn't hit anything other than the Solgaleo, or not the Solgaleo. Well, yes, that too. But it doesn't really hit anything else other than the mirror, which opponent probably figured by me not throwing right away on 7 that I didn't have it. So I'm just going to go ahead and sack my Duskmane and hope that I can get a nice shield farm down here. And I'm going to shield just in case. I don't know. They're psychos, dude. Respectfully. Psychotic behavior running that moveset. Because it's the one moveset that I didn't need them to have. But I'm like, just in case it's Outrage, I got a shield. I'm like, man, they have Palkia in the back. Like, no, Duskmane is not strong enough into fairies with that moveset. That is a very, very difficult situation to be in. But if the opponent's making it work, then more power to him. Honestly, yes. We're going to go ahead and shield a potential Spatial Rend, and the opponent full sends it. Most of them bait me just to make me angry, but the opponent now comes in with a Kyurem, and we should be able to get to the Freeze Shock, but the opponent is going to be able to get to the Fusion Flare first. Now, can we clutch up? We live the Fusion Flare. I probably should have gone for the Freeze Shock just to get rid of this thing, honestly, but I'm going to go for the Resisted Fusion Bolt for genuinely, I don't even know what reason at this point. Because it doesn't matter. I was trying to see if I could maybe get to 2 moves, but I wasn't going to get there, let's be honest. We still take a 4-1 for the road, though, and that's going to get us close enough to Expert. 27-44, and we skip to the next set. We're 6 points away. I just need a positive set. Spoiler alert, it's a positive set. Stick around and find out how we win these games. Because Dialga lead is, this, like I said, this is exactly where I want to see the Dialga. I'll typically farm up to 10 because they need 21 to get to the Roar of Time, so that's right before they get there. They throw the move here, which means this is going to be a Thunder if it was on 20 Dragon Breaths, and as soon as I land this Outrage, I can swap into my Kyurem because I'll be able to fully farm them down before they're going to be able to get to a move if they don't swap out. Now, the opponent now swaps in a Palkia onto my Kyurem. I can go for the Fusion Bolt. Gonna get a shield here, which is nice, and do a ton of damage with these. I'm telling you, dude, look at how much damage we did. We took damage before they swapped in. They shielded. That was it. The Kyurem just completely outclasses Palkia. And now that I think about it, this entire team is basically the last 3 powerhouses that have been in the game's main events rotation, which is kind of interesting. But makes a lot of sense when you think about it. Palkia lead. Gonna try it again. Whether it works or not, I don't know. You know, I'm kind of hoping that we just have the ability to play through whatever's in the back. Palkia leads can honestly have a lot of different things, but one of the things that this team definitely struggles with, which I don't know if there's any in this video, maybe that's why it was so easy for me to get to Veteran with this team at this time, because I just hit a stretch where I did not see any Rhyperior. This is a catch that I probably wouldn't recommend making. It was just one of those that I made it, because I'm thinking he's probably going to go ahead and throw this move, and then thankfully we're able to make it. We got a nice energy head start as well to get to the Fusion Bolt, do a good chunk of damage to the Melmetal. Things are looking up for us in this game so far. Double Iron Bash is going to do quite a lot of damage. Going to go for the neutral hitting Fusion Bolt. But yeah, Rhyperior is definitely a problem for this team. I have very, very seldomly beat them, but when I do, it's typically because I can get Palkia on it in some way, shape, or form, or be able to KO it with a move from Necrozma. In the lead, we're always safe swapping Kyurem into the Rhyperiors, and then we're hoping that you can either get the energy with the Iron Head, go to Palkia, some way, shape, or form. But Palkia, unfortunately, because it loses the Rhyperior matchup in the 2 shields, like 2-2 shields, and loses against Shadow Rhyperior in the 1-1s and the 2-2s. That's just uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest. It's just uncomfortable. We get a nice farm down from this Melmetal, though, and I'm looking to use it. I thought they would come back in with the Palkia. Thankfully, they shielded, but because I threw that, I'm not getting to an Iron Head. If I had thrown the Iron Head and waited, I would have been able to get to another Iron Head, I'm pretty sure. Now, opponent is going to be able to go for the Nature's Madness. It is super effective. Isn't going to do too much, but I don't want to take the damage. It's going to do a lot of damage. I can't afford to take that damage. I'm trying to overfarm here just in case the opponent tries to make a play at a catch. But I'm going to go for these Aqua Tails right in the middle of their moves, and unfortunately, I feel like it's over. I feel like it's completely over. The opponent has to go for the Psyshock, and then in comes the Palkia, and then has a move, and yeah, it's over. There's no way I win in this game. So they had more health on their Palkia than I had on mine, which was probably where I screwed up, honestly, was just swapping out of that lead. But that's okay. We take those. Well played to the opponent. It's a learning experience, especially with, and this is a very good example of a get used to a team in a smaller meta, like Master League. And if you learn your matchups well enough, you can usually do well and climb. It's just one of those things, right? So, opponent comes in with a Kyurem, and I probably should have brought in my own Kyurem, but I realized they're on Dragon Tail, and because of that, I need to go for a shield or some HP difference, otherwise I'm just going to get farmed down. Now, the opponent goes for a charge move. I'm pretty sure it's a Fusion Bolt. Doesn't matter if it is or not. I'm shielding this because I would like to get this farm down because this energy is going to be helpful in dealing with whatever else is on this team. Kyurem energy is going to go everywhere, man. I'm going to be going for the Fusion Bolt here. I'm hoping to fish a shield off the Xerneas, and then if I have to, I can go for another Fusion Bolt, which it looks like I'm not going to get to another get to a free shock, so I will just fire off the Fusion Bolt here for the damage. Necrozma can hardly survive a close combat from this range, and I'm thinking at this point they've got enough energy to get my shield and a close combat. I'm just going to let this go. The opponent now is going to have their defense drop. I could swap in my Palkia. I am hoping that some way, somehow, that this Palkia can clutch up against whatever's in the back, but they're going to go for the close combat, and they bring in Rhyperior, and this is where I need to see the Rhyperior with a massive energy disadvantage and an Aqua Tail pretty much already loaded. Aqua Tail's nearly going to knock out. Opponent can't get to a breaking swipe, and we're going to be able to go for an Aqua Tail into the Xerneas. The opponent knows it, and they concede. Well played. Necrozma into Landorus, the Nightmare. The floating thing. The floating genie thing, doggy thing, I don't know. We're going to go straight to Kyurem because usually they immediately swap out and they're going to bring in their fairy type, which, you know, this sucks, but it's much better to see this with the Kyurem than it is with the Palkia. Opponent going to go for that Moonblast, but we hang on with 1 HP, and I'm just as surprised as you are. I thought for sure that was going to knock out. That was the first time I've had a Moonblast, and then Kyurem... First time I've taken a full Moonblast like that. Kyurem is going to get a ton of HP off of the floor. Just this is a nice farm down for Necrozma. Going to wait out my switch time here to make sure that we can get out of the Landorus matchup immediately if possible. The opponent's going to go for a last second Trailblaze, and I'm going to swap immediately into Palkia here. And the opponent has Origin Dialga. What are you going to do? This is me getting hard countered. Nothing you could do about it. I'm going to try to fish the shield off this thing with the Aqua Tail and see if I can't get to a Spatial Rend. Usually, if the opponent's not fast enough on the swap, we're only going to get to an Aqua Tail, though. If they're a little bit slower on the swap, I can get to a Spatial Rend here without having to shield if they try to farm me down. But, unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to have enough with my Necrozma to be able to handle the Landorus, but I'm going to try my best. I'm going to shield up this first move. It is the Roar of Time. I'm going to overfarm as much as I can, trying to go for the Iron Head here once I feel like I can go for one right before they get to another move. As much overfarm as possible because I need to save my final shield for this Landorus. Now, I'm going to go for the Iron Head. I'm hoping that they shield this so I can try to land a Outrage. Now, the opponent here makes a massive call. If I'd gone just for the Outrage, or if that was a Sunstrike, a Steel Strike, I don't know why they don't shield that. Unfortunately, it wins them the game by calling that, but like I feel like that's too risky to call. But I mean, hey, it won them a game. Good game. Palkia lead. Let's see if we can get it right this time with the Necrozma. We're going to stay in once again. We're going to go for that Outrage. I'm still trying to figure out when to go for it. I'm going to farm up to 9 because that's just the system that I've done, and so far it hasn't gone catastrophically wrong. Aqua Tail does some damage. I want to make sure that they throw a move before I swap, because Kyurem, like, I don't want to have to just take a Spatial Rend straight to the face. But I'm going to safe swap in after getting that shield. Opponent comes in with their Keldeo here, but I've got a shield advantage. I've got a massive energy lead from these two Dragon Tails. I mean, two Dragon Tails is enough, right? We've gotten all the shields down from the opponent here. And if I want to, I could absolutely just go ahead and shield, but I feel like if I shield here, I'm going to shield a second time. And so I'm just going to go ahead and let this go down, save the shield advantage, and hope that my Palkia can clutch up here in the end game. We're going to come in back in with the Necrozma. I'm going to actually shield to preserve this thing and look to try to go for this Outrage and just use the one shield advantage that I have on my Palkia to try and win the game. Necrozma has some HP left in the tank if it needs it. Opponent's going to come in with the Landorus, and we're going to go straight to Palkia here, and they can go for a Sandsear Strike if they, or a Sandsear Storm if they want to, but I know that this is only one and it's not a Stone Edge. If they go for the Stone Edge, if they farm up to the Stone Edge, I'm going to respect it. Now, opponent here comes in with the Palkia, and what I need to do here is farm down. They go for the Spatial Rend, thankfully, and we are going to get this farm down before they can. Even with the attack drop, now we just need to go for the two Aqua Tails. The opponent has no shields, and that's going to two-shot Landorus even with this debuff that has been lingering for this game. But just, man, this team is just so good. I highly recommend it. This team got us up to over 2,800, and then, you know, had a 2-3 knock me just back under. But 2,800 plus is possible with this team, and I'm hoping to go even further with it. It's just such a good team. It really, it's like the 3 best Pokemon in the Master League, like as far as stat product, etc., that have good moves, right? Like Lugia, I know has good. I miss Lugia. I miss what horribly nerfed thing that used to be good in Master League do you now miss because it got nerfed? Let me know in the comments. That's one I want to know. Lugia is my top one. But anyway, that's it for me for today's video, guys. Thank you very much as always. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.